Thank you, Dirk. Those were warm and kind and inspiring and heartening words. Let me see if I can just get my first slide up here. There we go. Enjoy your lunch. It's a pleasure to be with you. And I just want to emote a feeling that I just have a tremendous amount of respect and admiration for who you are, but the journey you've been on, more than that, and how much you've achieved in a few short years by taking the issue central to our lives, deep to my heart, and making it the center, or trying to, of business. But we need to push more to the center. I feel that I'm going to preach to the choir, so I want to acknowledge that we are kindred spirits. At least I feel that way. I feel that we've been climbing the same mountain, the mountain that there's more to business than just business. At the top of the mountain awaits us principles or responsibility. Yet we've been climbing the mountain on different routes, and now I've come to think that the world is fusing, and therefore our routes will merge with that. I come here for lunch all the way from uptown, from Midtown. So I thought what I would do is bring with me just one idea. For the next 50 minutes, and then we'll engage a little bit in some question and answer, I literally have come from Midtown to downtown with just one idea. No matter what I say for the next 50 minutes, think that I'm just trying to share and argue for and demonstrate and prove one idea. And if on the merits this idea makes any sense to you, I'm then going to ask you to do one thing with it, okay? That's it. Let me first illustrate this one idea with two stories. How many of you have flown Southwest Airlines? Many of you. Not too long ago, I landed in Las Vegas on a Southwest Airlines flight. As the plane came to the gate, the flight attendant with elan and passion came through the loudspeaker and said, "Listen, dear customers of Southwest Airlines, we've done research, and it turns out that before you deplane, if you would simply turn around and cross your seatbelts one over the other, you will have good luck at the gambling tables." Now, we laughed the way you did, but then we did it. Now, there is a federal regulation, a safety regulation, that seatbelts need to be crossed before the next plane can take off. Through how she reached out and connected with us, she got us to help her company comply with a safety regulation. It also turns out that Southwest Airlines turns their planes around 6 minutes faster than their nearest rival. How many minutes would it have taken her to go up and down the aisle by herself and cross the seatbelts? Let me hear it. 6 minutes. Through how she connected with us, she got us to help her airline not just comply with the regulation, but achieve a competitive advantage, an operational one. They also make a promise to the marketplace: home on time, no frills, fun, and safe. And there was something organic and authentic in how she connected with us, and I felt she gets out of bed to keep that promise through how she behaves and relates. There is no manual or policy in Southwest Airlines that tells her that she must tell the gambling joke when she arrives in Las Vegas. She might innovate when she flies to Los Angeles and swap out gambling for celebrity sightings. And she does not get paid extra for doing that. She operates in a culture full of trust, where she is inspired to contribute not just her moral character, but her creativity to make a difference. Let's move to Michigan. The University of Michigan Health Systems. You're from Michigan. Is that why you're clapping? Your dad works there. Well, tell me if this is true, because I'm inspired, because I'm pretty sure it is. I've researched this deeply. The University of Michigan was facing a crisis, like many other healthcare providers. They were being sued increasingly for medical malpractice. The doctors who led this great institution got in a room and they said, "What business are we in? We are in the responsibility business, because you cannot provide health and health care if you don't do so responsibly. What is the first thing you do when you injure a patient? You try to reconnect by simply saying you're sorry." What do you think the lawyer said to them? Absolutely not. We have more money. We can fight these people. An apology is an admission of guilt. We can't. It'll be held against us in the court of law. They had this internal debate and battle, and the doctors won, and they started to authentically apologize. They had another value called truth, so they did not say they're sorry when they were right, because they didn't want to be Machiavellian about it. Let's just say we're sorry to have an effect. Let's say it when we mean it. Their lawsuits went down by 50%, as did their payouts. Then they started to speak more transparently back on the home front, and they said, here are other things we can fix, and they were able to improve the provision of health care services. They made a wave where now 37 states, because other hospitals started to emulate them, 37 other United States have passed legislation that apologies cannot be held against you in the court of law. Let me ask you a question. Would the world be a better, more responsible place if more flight attendants or employees behaved and related the way the Southwest Airlines individual did, and if more leaders were animated by core values and how they did the right thing? World a better place? Yes? Can I hear it? Okay. That's why we're kindred spirits. I have some bad news for you. You might share in the bad news. Those behaviors are more the exception than the rule. There are many ways to make this point. You see it every day. But 7 out of 10 employees, if it's Gallup, Towers Perrin, you pick, are disengaged. We have a jobs crisis in this country and in the world, and it pains us. I think we have a deeper crisis. We not only have a jobs crisis, we have a careers crisis, because 7 out of 10 people do not fly out of bed and contribute their character and creativity and passion and energy, and thereby they're not innovating and growing and creating those jobs for brothers and sisters and cousins and uncles and friends. 2 out of those 7 employees are sabotaging their company. They're engaged in sabotage. How can we make the world a better place? How can you take people on a journey with you to a more responsible world if 7 out of 10 people don't even care about making a difference at the company they work at? That's a crisis. That's leadership malpractice. Now, I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. We have such robust corporate responsibility programs, right? Our people are more engaged. Let me tell you about a company that was winning these awards for corporate social responsibility. I won't mention names. That has incredible employee engagement scores. So much so that they had a policy that their employees could recommend to the company a friend or a cousin, and they would hire them. And for many years, they were watching that score go up and up. Wow, people must love it here. They're recommending their friends to the company. And one day, not too long ago, a senior executive was speaking to a middle manager, and in passing says to him, hey, when your brother finishes business school, you're going to recommend him to this company, right? You know what this person said? Excuse my French? Hell no. My brother can get a job anywhere. But I have a cousin that no one would ever hire. I'm going to recommend him. Do you see why we need to get deep underneath these metrics? Their engagement scores were going up. People were recommending people to the company, but the wrong people, because they disengaged from the values and what the mission of the company was all about. Why have we disconnected? Why have we disconnected? Well, we once had a management guru. His name was Adam Smith. Now, in this part of the world, Wall Street, and in most of the world of business, most people think that Adam Smith was an economist. He wrote The Wealth of Nations, after all. How many of you thought that Adam Smith was an economist? Raise your hand if you think he was an economist. Ladies and gentlemen, he was the chairman of the moral philosophy department at Glasgow University when he wrote The Wealth of Nations. Capitalism for him was not about a system where people do what they will do, what can do or can't do, but what they should do. And we know that should is about responsibility. It was always about truly mutual interactions and competitive interactions. It was a theory of morality at scale manifested through markets. And yet we chose to interpret it as something more laissez-faire, zero-sum economic theory. Why? Because we fell in love with a different management guru, Don Vito Corleone. You laugh. How many of you have been to a funeral where you heard that he was a jerk at work but a loving husband? And a ruthless negotiator but a caring father? Have you heard that? And we were at eulogies and we didn't think all that badly of that person, right? Because the most famous line in The Godfather is, it's not personal, it's just business. Now, logically, it follows that if we can create a separate sphere, just business, if Washington is just politics, if what happens in a Penn State locker room is just football, but not life, it's just football, and if business is just business, if we can create a separate sphere, then greed is good, too big to fail, bosses telling people, just get it done, I don't care how you get it done, I don't care about being responsible or not, just do it, is actually a rational strategy that can be scaled.